Well, hey YouTube, welcome to the living room. This is January, so I'm going to be getting ready to record some music. Now, typically in November or December, I will sit while I watch what we watch computer rather than TV. I'll come up with a little idea, and then I use my webcam to record me playing that idea, stash it in a folder called Song Ideas. So typically by the end of the first week in January, I'll have like 20 or 30 of these ideas that are the nuggets for to write a full song. So there's 3 computers that I use when I record music. Typically I record what I call an album, but it's not an album, it's just 12 or 25 songs, whatever I do. And I do this in this period of time when it's snowy here in Chicago. And I do it like I start doing it on the 7th or the 10th of January, somewhere in there. And I work consistently every day until I'm finished with what I feel it represents like an album. Although there's no album. It's just some songs and I put them up on my YouTube. So the first computer is the one where I have herniated disc, which means my back hurts. So I can recline here, I'll recline, and I'll use this computer and use the software called Superior Drummer 2, Addictive Drums. Got a couple of different drum softwares, and those enable me to put together fairly realistic sounding drum tracks. So I will transfer that to a flash drive. And it's basically like, you could think of it like an MP3. It'll have like an 8 count where they'll count in, click, 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 and then you play. Just like a real drummer would do in a rehearsal studio. And then we edit that 4 count or 8 count out. So you don't hear it on the album, but that's how I know how to get going and playing. So I'll take that flash drive and I will come over, I think you're going to go this way. I'll take that flash drive and I will load the drum track, which is just like an MP3, the final product, and I load it into this computer. Now, here we have, like I would actually drop the drums in this track, that's the first track. And then go to record. My first track here would be a guitar. Now the guitar that I use is a special type of Stratocaster that has a special pickup. Normally the guitar pickup is two connections. This has 13. So what it means is each string of the guitar has its own pickup. And then this is a complicated device which can mimic banjo. Let's say you're playing a Stratocaster and you want to have a Les Paul guitar type of sound. This will do it. So this device is very powerful, very expensive. It cost more than I would pay for 2 used cars when it came out, and it was gifted to me by a wonderful guy by the name of Pink Jimmy Photon. So special thanks to Pink Jimmy, because this is the whole secret for me recording without hurting my back. Normally I would have to go and get different guitars, learn how to play a banjo, set up a microphone in front of an amplifier. Well, this device does all of that with a spin of this knob. And that doesn't hurt my back so much. So we have an equalizer, and that helps to shape the tone. There's 2 tube preamps, and basically the virtual guitar system is fed through those equalizers and through those 2 preamps to warm it up, because this is digital, and it comes around to this is our audio interface. So this is what connects to the computer that enables me to record really high quality sound and hear that back. So as far as the monitoring bit of it, there's a couple of headphone jacks, so I can use these. And then when I want to hear it on the speakers, we have these.
They're funny. They're totally. I can see it.
Yeah, these event monitors which are $800 monitors we got for 50 bucks at Goodwill. And those provide studio quality sound. If I want to hear a little artificial, like more treble and more bass, because see, these are kind of flat. They don't exaggerate or complement the sound so much. But these bookshelf speakers, these are more treble, and then there's a subwoofer for extra bass. Yeah. So this gives me more of a realistic, like when I listen to stuff, I always turn the treble and the bass up. So utilizing these extra speakers, which are connected to this amplifier. These have their own built-in amplifiers, which is really nice. And then this device here, it had a dedicated subwoofer out, and I went ahead and ran this equalizer pedal, which feeds a little boxed up 60-watt amplifier. And this way I can really control the amount of subwoofer so I don't disturb my neighbors. I can bleed in just enough if I want to hear for the mixing process to really get a perfect, as close to perfect mix as I could. I have these tools like the ability to monitor in a really wide frequency range or a more narrow flat sound. And then of course when I'm tracking, when I'm recording all this music, I just use headphones because we don't want to bother the neighbors. This keyboard is something special. It's got these scrub wheels on here, so basically I can record, and if I do make a mistake, I hit this, it has a money sticker, and when you hit that money button, it stops recording. It deletes what you recorded with your mistake in it, and it rewinds all the way back to the beginning. This is all with one button, and then you hit record again. So utilizing these two keys rather than making a mistake, trying to find stop here and then stopping and then rewind, delete, start over, I can just fire off a couple of buttons, and that enables me to boogie and do really well. So basically how it starts is I'll put the drums in, I'll do some normal sounding guitar tracks here with this. Then I will grab a bass guitar which plugs into this computer, and I use software which is called Guitar Rig 5, and that has bass amps and bass effects that sound really good to my ear. So I'll do my bass guitar tracks, and on the output this computer uses an EMU 0404 interface, and it has a lot of options on the output. It has a lot of cables coming out of it, and one of those is a digital output called SPDIF. So with the SPDIF connection, my guitar goes in one time, gets translated from analog to digital, and goes through this interface and on into the master without ever being converted back into analog. So normally without that I would be bouncing back and forth a couple times from between the analog and digital domain, which does things like jitter, and it just affects the sound quality. So wherever I can in this situation, if I'm using the bass guitar or synthesizers that are created inside this computer, we're always using that SPDIF digital output and input, taking advantage of it. And that's why we ended up, I think we paid $60 for this. Now it's used, it's called a 610, and it's got better than the other model preamps. So it's not so shabby. But after I get my bass done, I usually plug the guitar in and do some more artificial guitars, where those would be banjos, 12 strings, weird sounding envelope follower guitar, and all that is done with the VGA. Now I do from time to time, I will grab my Zoom or my new XMG300. I will set up some modulation pedals, make a little, grab like, I want a swooshy kind of phase 45 Eddie Van Halen with a choppy tremolo. So I'll set that stuff up. And whether I do direct monitoring through USB or have to go through the preamps, it's a pretty easy, minimal setup for me. and I could get those special guitars recorded. Usually at that time, I will want to use some of these unique sounds in this guitar synthesizer, which that is recorded. It's a synthesizer. You don't play it with the piano, you play it with your guitar, and that enables, it just has a different feel, and there's sounds in here. There's some vibes and bells, like tubular bells, and some sounds that I've just really fallen in love with. So after I'm done adding some spacey flavor and some orchestral flavor with this guitar synthesizer, I'll come over here and use this computer or my Korg. We got a Yamaha keyboard that is more of like a trance sound set. So inside of this computer, which we're looking at that computer right now, these monitors can be assigned to different computers, which is really helpful. But I have quite a bit of other software. Labs, Spitfire Labs is something that I swear by. Also, the Zebra 2, Yuhi Labs Zebra 2 is a synthesizer that you play from your computer that's incredible. It has a lot of arpeggios and stuff that you time to the music that I spend quite a bit of time on that phase. And that really makes the magic happen. When you have a delay, an echo that's synchronized to the beat, and you play these arpeggios that are also in tempo, and then they're echoing, and it's Pink Floyd. Now, the key to a lot of this is like, I've got a wireless dongle with an extension. It's just accessibility. It's having everything kind of close because of my injury. Utilizing the soft synths, then I have this rack mount Kurzweil PC2R that we got for $2.99 at the Goodwill. It's an incredible synthesizer, and I used it last year, although the majority of the synth stuff was actually soft synths, and then using this controller, which I've been through a lot of controllers. Last year we needed one, and I was bitching, and we went out, and lo and behold, they had this for $9.99 at the Lombard Goodwill. So it's pretty much been, this stuff has been provided. It's doesn't seem like a real lot of gear when you add it up, but it kind of is. And the idea that we were getting it on pennies for the dollar, like, this probably cost $180 and we paid $10 for it. The monitor speakers were $800. We paid $50 for them. $3 synth that cost retailed at $1,800. So we've done really well in that sense, and now it's just trying to honor the music, honor it through making good music. I do use additional guitars, but for the most part, it's that one Stratocaster. It's a Fernandez that has a Sustainiac system. I have a 18 volt or a 12 volt nickel metal hydride battery that lives in the strap to power the electronics in that guitar, so we don't have to purchase 9 volt batteries all the time. Did I explain this? Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. Mm-hmm. For the basses, I've got a really heavy bass. I've got a really light one. Usually I use the really light one. This year I'm going to try to struggle and fight my way through using that heavy bass. Perhaps we'll be using that Yamaha keyboard that was a gift from my wife's uncle. If I feel I need to, I can bring in other elements. There's always having sound effect beds in between each piece of music, which is something I really love to do, and that's something where I may be using more analog sounds, like we have a little marimba, a thumb piano, and stuff with the microphone. Backing vocals are going to be an element this year that I want to try to implement, and then this is a thimble slide. This enables me to slide on the guitar, And I did a little bit with it last year, and I was very pleased with the results. So I had considered the idea of trying to produce some music that's less produced, meaning not throwing so many sounds. Like when you go in to do the guitars, just do 4 tracks. Don't do 32. You know, and that, because it's the same for every time I get in on another stage of the recording, I tend to really add quite a bit. But that's not going to happen. I'm going to add even more, I'm sure, because that's just kind of how it is. But I really do love being done with the process of recording an album. I do not call this a studio. It's my living room. I do call it an album, but I know it's not an album. But it's just easier for me to call it that way. And I'm terrified. Right now, I'm so scared about this process. So having people on the other end that listen to it, to quantify it, and to say, hey, you did a good job, is really important. We've had a real lot of bad luck lately here. It just seems like it's been like a demon attack, like a lot of things happening. This morning, well, last night, someone next door was pounding with a hammer very loudly for 40 minutes late. And that woke me up this morning, and that pounding broke a 4-liter, a full brand new bottle of wine broke from this guy, whatever he was pounding on this morning when he woke me up on Sunday morning. Saturday night into Sunday morning, boom, 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 with a sledge, and it broke 4 liters of wine that went all over our kitchen. So my wife ended up this cleaning nightmare all day, and I ended up getting a late start. So that's how this area works, and this is what I do. I do this once a year. I do it every year. It happens in January when we're snowed in, and it's miserable, and I'm unbelievably depressed. Usually I'm all messed up in the head from the holidays and unbelievably depressed and scared about these projects. So that's what's going on. We got everything fired up. We tested some tests. I'm looking forward to this. I cannot wait to get started, because once it's started, I'm not scared anymore. I'm just rolling. And I wake up and I'll get in here and work, and then at the end of the day, I've created something that did not exist before that, and it's something that I can be proud of. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I think that I should be proud of this, especially considering that I wasn't born with talent. I'm not some person I played for 2 years and got up there and could just solo all over the neck. You know what I mean? And I'm missing 2 fingers too, so it's kind of like, if I can do it, anyone can. And that's kind of the spirit of this video, is to encourage people. If you put your nose to it, you'd surprise yourself at what you can come up with. And I'm not saying that I'm good or great, because I'm not. But I love doing this, and I'm really happy that you're here to share this experience with me and let me know what you thought. So take care of yourselves, hug your pets, stay warm, and peace.